1907, in December, the Short family came to Oklahoma for Grandpa Short's health. He had asthma real bad, and they thought it might help him. So they were all still single and at home, and they established a home over by Canute. And they were living there in 1908. In January, Dad came with his sister, Aunt Pearl, and Uncle Pearlie. And Uncle Pearlie was Mother's cousin. So they went to the Short house to stay and took their luggage off of the train and stayed there until they could find a place to live. And that's when Mother and Dad met and started going together. And then in the beginning of 1908, which was when Dad was out here in January, they moved on to the Gertie Anderson place. Gertie Anderson, the Bowen Dad and Aunt Pearl and Uncle Pearlie lived on the Gertie Anderson place. And that's where they lived when Mother and Dad were dating. And so that's where they lived then. And they married in October of 1909. They married in 1909. And then they lived there and farmed there that year. And then the Shorts came on into Washita County and filed on the Short place over there in Washita County. And Grandma Short's mother, Grandma Glover, lived down there in the canyons till she could establish a home in that part of it, and then Grandpa bought the other part of it. And she stayed down there, and Myrtle stayed with her down in the canyons in a dugout. And Mother and Dad then lived on the Gertie Anderson place, and that's where they farmed. So that's where Harry and Bessie were born, on the Gertie Anderson place. And then they finally purchased the home out here, the Myers place we called it, in Washita County, and that's where James and Virginia and Nadine were born.
And we lived there 18 years. I finished high school while we were still living there.
The most fun we had was going to the cotton field and chopping cotton and picking cotton together, and Mother would bring our lunch to the field to us, or a snack. And it would be buttermilk and cornbread, or a big cake, or something ice cold to drink in the summertime, or something real good from the kitchen. And that was what we enjoyed the most, was being in the field together, because it was just like one big picnic all the time.
I can remember one team of horses we had, and he didn't have two-row plows like a lot of people because he just used 2 horses. And if you had more than a 2-row plow, you used about 4 horses. And these horses, I never will forget their names. There was a black one and a red one with a white face, and there was Fred and Nig. Nig was the black one, Fred was the red horse. And one time Dad was working, and he's down next to 41. That was back before it was changed to 152. And there was a big truck went by with a tarp on it. And Dad was go-deviling. And all at once we saw the dirt fly. That truck was going by and the tarp was flopping. And it scared his team and caused them to run away. And all we could see was the dirt flying, and they was dragging Dad. He had his foot hung in the dish on the go-devil. And they drug him for a long ways, and we was all scared to death. We run that way, but pretty soon we saw him get up. He got loose some way, and them horses run with that go-devil it was about a half mile down to 41, and they run clear back to the barn. I don't know what shape that go-devil was in, I can't remember, but I'm sure it's pretty beat up. But there was a long time before Dad even used that team again. Like to broke him from farming.
From the well, carry it to the house in a bucket. We had to carry water and put it in a tub to take a bath. So we built us a little shower and fixed a barrel up on the top and put a faucet in it and punched holes in a can and hung it there, and it would come down and sprinkle us like a shower. And we would carry water that morning and climb up the ladder and fill that up. And that would last all of us kids about 2 days, a 50-gallon barrel, because you could really get clean in less water in a shower than you could in a tub. And we would feel clean and and the water was good and soft. And we had a good well of water. We had whatever we raised in the garden, all kinds of vegetables. We raised our chickens, we raised our hogs. We'd raise our calves to butcher and had our own meat and our own vegetables out of the garden. Mother would can. She used half-gallon jars then, and see, there were 7 of us children. And then them 2 made 9. And she canned everything in half-gallons. We would work our own crop till we was finished, and then we'd get out and work for people around. They'd hire us, and we'd take that money and buy our school clothes with it. We played baseball, and in the corner of the pasture there was enough neighbors in that neighborhood to make 2 teams. and we organized our teams, and we had it in the end of our pasture, down in close to the road. And then we would build us places out under the trees and have the fair, you know, and have things to sell to each other. And then we had a neighbor boy that would put a double tree on his leg and wrap it around and act like he was crippled and go around with a cup in his hand. And we would, and then in the wintertime, we would be in the house and we'd have popcorn. We raised our own popcorn, our own peanuts. And Mother would popcorn for us at night, and she'd tell stories, she and Dad, about what happened when they were growing up and lived in the woods, and the animals they would see, you know, and tell us stories like that at night, and we just all sat around and listened to her, you know, and sometimes we'd play dominoes.
When it would be real hot, there was a row of maiden mist trees right north of our yard, about 10 of them. And in the summertime, us girls, we didn't have dishes and toys like kids do now. We had to make believe. And we'd get out and hunt old broken dishes. Fix the playhouse, we'd use wooden boxes for cabinets and things. And we'd have these broken pieces of dishes. And we was just as happier than kids are now with all their fancy stuff that you go to the store and buy for them. And we'd all get out there and we'd mark off a place under each tree, and that was our house, and we'd visit each other.
So you had separate houses?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they was, let's see, me and Irene and Marie and Nadine. Back then, Virginia, she was too little to play with us. But we'd get out there, and we never went away from home to play because we played together. We was more like friends than we was sisters, because usually sisters fight, and we didn't. Every Sunday we had a nice big Sunday dinner, but through the week we just had this dinner you could work on, meals. But Mother always fixed a big Sunday dinner, and she'd bake light bread. You didn't go to the store back then and buy a loaf of bread already sliced. I can remember the first bread, light bread that was in stores was just solid loaves, and you had to use your knife and slice them. And then when wasn't very many years till they had sliced bread, and we thought that was just great. But Mother would bake bread, and she even baked bread for us to have sandwiches to take in our school lunches. And she'd bake bread in baking powder cans. They was round. And she'd put her dough in there, and it'd raise and bake, and it'd bake pretty good all the way around, kind of brown. And then she'd slice that and make sandwiches for us to put in our lunch to go to school, because we went to a little old one-room schoolhouse till I finished 8th grade.
We had these swinging parties, you know, no dancing, but we'd go to parties, just they was 25 or 30 young people in that community when we grew up. And we'd walk and go places because we didn't have but one car, and we could have it only once a week. And that was to go to town of a Saturday and go to the show and do what shopping we needed done.
And then in 1924, Dad bought the first car. And we thought we was really somebody then. even when we had to work in the field, had to chop cotton and pick cotton, we never thought we had a rough life. We enjoyed it. We thought that was what we're supposed to do.
We had our Christmas tree at our grandparents', and they would go to Granite and cut a tree, a cedar, off of the mountains and bring back and nail it to the floor. And she would hang things on it. We didn't have any electricity, no lights.
We would make rings.
We'd make rings. Make rings. Make rings for her and have it clear around the tree. And anything we wanted to put on that tree that was about Christmas, we could hang it on there, and it was pretty beautiful. The drought that we didn't raise any cotton was what put us behind. And we just kept getting farther behind each time then. And we never did catch up. And you know, they kept that from us kids. I guess they didn't want to worry us, but I would like to have known about it. I think we could have helped them. But they didn't tell us things like that. And I feel like if they had that we could have made it. So we had a good family life.
We never thought we had a rough life. We enjoyed it.